guys. Another round of applause for Billy for dropping some knowledge bombs on interchain staking. Moving on to the evolution of staking. Joining us next on the stage is Felix Lutsch from Chorus One. Felix, come on down.
Hi, thanks. Thanks, everyone. Hi, everyone. I'm Felix, the Chief Commercial Officer of Chorus One. We're a staking provider live on 28 different networks. Currently, 13 of those are Cosmos networks, so we really are betting big on the Cosmos ecosystem, and we love it very much. And it's so great to see everyone that we've been working with for the last 3 years here and like have this kind of event again. I think the last time we saw many of you was in Berlin at the interchain staking event, so really cool to see people, and I hope I will see many of you more that I haven't spoken to yet. So yeah, I kind of just wanted to start giving, like, we heard a lot of protocol talks, like a lot of like features that are being developed in the Cosmos ecosystem. I'm here to give a little bit more of like a global view of staking and kind of the perspective of a staking provider. So I also, in advance, I want to tell, I use a lot of data from staking rewards, so the team is sitting there. Thank you, Mirko and team, for providing that, and talk to them if you want to learn more about staking and the data. So, right, like, I think one big thing, one big trend in crypto that has definitely become clear this last year, especially, is that proof of stake is taking over from proof of work. And Staking Rewards report had this great chart that showed us like the dominance of proof of stake and Ethereum versus kind of proof of work or other types of consensus mechanisms. And you can see that like staking has been rapidly gaining like market share, especially with ETH also switching to proof of stake soon, right? This will be around like 1/4 of the market share. And of course, that is kind of expected to continue to grow. So staking really is a huge market and is here to stay. I also wanted to put it in perspective, how big is the staking economy? What do I mean when I say the staking economy? That's basically the staking rewards that are earned every year by stakers, so like the delegators and the validators together. Calculated this to be $26.2 billion right now. So this is based on kind of the total value locked times the average staking yield, and it scores between like countries of like reasonably sized countries, one might say. Estonia and Uganda. So staking economy is already like super big, right? It's a big business for the people involved, for the delegates, but also for the validators, which take, of course, usually the business model is kind of a commission of those rewards. In proof of stake in general, Cosmos has played a huge role, right? Like Cosmos Tech is one of the core pieces of proof of stake. So if we look in general on proof of stake networks, almost like 15% of the networks are using Cosmos Tech in some form. So I know like Binance Smart Chain might not use directly Cosmos SDK, but at least they use Tendermint. They're using like frameworks that Cosmos have been developed in the Cosmos ecosystem. So this is like 15% of all the networks right now. As a comparison, maybe like Solana right now is around 30% of that. So Cosmos definitely in the top of kind of staking networks, and I'm expecting this actually to even grow in the future. Now I kind of wanted to bring it back to the topic of the name of my slide. So evolution of staking, right? Where are we going? What is happening? I kind of like half jokingly, I mean, it's kind of like how crypto developed in my eyes. So right, we went from TradFi earning 0.5% to kind of trading crypto and like ICOs and whatever to like, okay, guys, slow down. Let's just hold Bitcoin. To now, guys, let's stake and earn something and secure networks. So really like doing something useful with the tokens. And it's not just like, you know, promise of some future thing. It's actually happening, right? This money is being used to secure networks, being used to pay for infrastructure. And that's staking. But, you know, where's this going? What's the clear trend? And I think it is clear that it's liquid staking and the return to the Monke. So a lot of degens entering the space from the DeFi ecosystem, mostly caring about yield, right? Aping into different pools, whatever people like to do these days. Staking usually has been like kind of unsexy for the last 4 years, where it was like, okay, you know, staking kind of boring. Nothing happens. You stake and you just wait for 2 years and hopefully you earn something. With DeFi, that all changed, right? With liquid staking, it's changing. You're receiving tokenized liquid stake, and you can use it in DeFi. But it also brings like a whole new crowd of people to staking that haven't been really exposed to that before. And that's kind of what I want to a little bit talk about right now. So again, also to like put into perspective how big staking is versus DeFi, I kind of just put it into a context. Staking market, 309 billion locked on different proof of stake networks. That's mostly like Solana right now, followed by I think Cardano and maybe Ethereum. And then there is the world of value locked in DeFi, which is actually smaller than staking, which many people probably don't even know. And that is now data from also DeFi Llama, just shout out. And like the overlap in between those two essentially is liquid staking, right? You have the stake, you can tokenize it, and then you can use it as collateral in DeFi. And right now, that is around 13 billion value locked in kind of liquid staking solutions. Also shout out to Lido here, of course. That's 80% basically of this is Lido. And in the context of the entire staking market, liquid staking is still quite small. Like it's 4% essentially of all of the staking. Expected to grow in the future. I guess, I mean, just last year it was 0 essentially, and we've gone to 4% in such a short time, so expected to grow, and then of course that means people have to like take that as a given that liquid staking is something that's here to stay also, and the solutions that are building that need to like give something back to the ecosystem or build like good validator sets. So that's kind of what I want to end the talk more or less with. So I guess if you're looking at staking from the user experience, you have currently mostly kind of like 3 ways to stake. So you can delegate directly. Cosmos has a like really nice staking model where you're picking your validator. You have this, for example, here MintScan list, and you can choose whatever validator you like. It has this assumption that, okay, people that stake care about the network, want to pick someone that they know that maybe provides value to the ecosystem, has good performance, or just fees, which often is the deciding factor. And then there is but like many people that delegate will just pick one validator, right? It's kind of a lot of work to change and then make like multiple transactions. You have to like to keep track of all of that. So people end up taking just one validator. I actually didn't do research on this, but it's my assumption right now. Exchange staking is the alternative. I have my staking token. It's on the exchange. They offer some staking service. Why do I need to move away? It's actually super powerful too, because while I'm on the exchange, I can also trade. So it has actually kind of circumventing this lockup period that Cosmos, for example, has of 21 days. So if you want to exit, you can just sell on the exchange still, do whatever thing you want to do. And that's, of course, a much better user experience and super powerful and gets a lot of people to use exchanges. I think on some of the networks that don't have a good delegation system, including Ethereum, for example, there is a large part of exchange staking happening, probably like way above 50%. In Cosmos, it's actually not, it's also not great, but it's a little bit better. I think it's probably like, you see Kraken, Coinbase, Custody, Binance there, which is probably, I guess, like 25% only, or still a lot. And then liquid staking, right? The idea is now you're basically outsourcing the delegation strategy or choosing the validators to this other entity, which is the liquid staking protocol. That can be a DAO, that can be whatever, but yeah, mostly it's a DAO, hopefully. If it's not a DAO, please reconsider what you're doing if you're building a liquid staking protocol. And yeah, that's like kind of a powerful thing, because now you're shifting, I guess, the choice to the liquid staking protocol. Of course, that means you're trusting the people building that liquid staking protocol, or people controlling that, to make the right choices in terms of validators, in terms of decentralization. So that's kind of just like where I want to wrap this up with, and kind of a few thoughts on what's happening in the ecosystem there right now, and maybe how I think this will develop, and yeah, what you can do to contribute to that happening in the correct way, I guess, or like whatever. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to list some delegation criteria that maybe a liquid staking protocol could consider. So right, one is kind of like performance related. It's the uptime, which is often like the main thing that supposedly should be considered, right? But in general, most of the professional staking providers have very good uptime, so they will be kind of similar, right? There's like few downtimes event every now and then, but like most of the staking providers actually have like 99.9%. But of course, that might change, and you might like develop a liquid staking protocol that tries to gather this data, who has the best uptime. We're going to stake more with them. That's one choice. Other things could be kind of like, where is the validator actually sitting that is validating? So you have like the data centers, right? You can probably figure out, I mean, you can probably only not figure out if it's a good setup because the sentry nodes will be in front of it, of the validator, but maybe you can still kind of tell the geographies and which data center maybe is used too much and kind of try to delegate to decentralize that a bit. So for example, on Solana, there's been a big focus on Hedera, which is kind of a cheap data center provider that allows people to run Solana, which has a quite high hardware requirement, as many people know. So there has been a problem that a lot of the providers would be using Hedera, and then you have different people running nodes, but it's all in the same data center, so it's actually not really decentralized. So of course you want to avoid that. So they, for example, the Solana Foundation has devised a delegation strategy to exclude that, and a few of the liquid staking protocols also take that into account by like scoring their validators. So I mean, just in general, I think to understand as a liquid staking protocol, as a DAO, you're making this choice on validators. This can be like a governance-heavy process. So it could be like there is some governance choice. Which validators are we going to take into our set? When do we increase it? How do we onboard it? And that's, for example, what Lido started out with. So I know Izzy is also here. He's nodding. It's very good. And this has been... That's also like an interesting thing because then you actually have to speak to the validators, right? You're kind of figuring out how they are approaching it. You have like a direct line to them. There is like some community around it. Like now node operators are people and they have teams and they can like make choices. And in a way, by like picking with governance, you can kind of see, okay, this is a strong team. We know them. They are real. They're not like some fake entity that just runs on AWS. So that has been like one approach to this. The other approach is trying to do it like fully on chain, right? You can try to just figure out like some of the metrics of the networks, of the validators, like uptime mostly. Maybe you find out a little bit where they're sitting, and then you try to distribute a stake to them. That's obviously also, or you just look at how much stake do they already have. Are they outside of like the, let's say, security set of 33%? And then delegate to them. So that's a bunch of solutions on Solana are trying to take such an approach. The question here is also like, validators in the bottom of the set don't necessarily need to be like separate entities, right? You could just spin up a new node, you are in the bottom of the set again, and that's kind of like fake decentralization. So it's also like important to watch out for that if you're building a liquid staking protocol. Again, probably something that you want to figure out. So it seems currently that some mix of like on-chain, off-chain is required in this validator choice. I'm kind of doubtful that you can do it fully on-chain in a sensible manner. Then like some other criteria could also involve insurance. So if a liquid staking protocol, you can ask the node operators that participate and that want to participate in it to put a bond up themselves, so they have like some skin in the game essentially on their own performance. And if they like misbehave, that can be taken away. So that's also very important. I think but one of the main things about liquid staking is, right, that you're creating this product, which is a liquid staking token, that kind of a token that accrues value, that generates yield. And the liquid staking solution has this almost like responsibility to its holders to generate the most yield in a secure way, of course. And because of that, I think that's also really nice because that allows the liquid staking DAO to also like look at their node operators, who is not performing well, who should we be like calling out, who should be like maybe demoted or something. Like there's a whole economics, whole system there that is very early yet, and that a lot of the like Lido and some others are exploring how you handle this. And just from my experience, looking at like other networks, when you would be validating, no one would really care about are you down, are you not down. Maybe one of your delegators that checks it will look at it, but with a liquid staking solution, you actually have like this entire team that's working on this product, the liquid staking token. They will have an incentive that their node operators are operating well, so they will actually put like stuff in place to monitor validators and to kind of say, hey, look, you're not doing so well here right now. You could be doing better. Maybe also exchanging like best practices. So a lot of the community inside the liquid staking protocol of the validators, you can, align on maybe what tools you want to use and like other things. And then I just listed some other criteria, right? Like ecosystem contributions, you could also like take that into account. For example, has this validator built like tools, open source tools, or participate in the community in some other way, community contributions, creating content, creating like onboarding material, and use that as a criteria to your liquid staking protocol. I think that's almost it. I think there's also like something else coming up. I just wanted to end this again with like a meme in Cosmos manner. So I think right now the problem is a little bit that, again, the agency is a little bit shifting from the delegators to the liquid staking protocol, and like the actual users, they just care about yield. They don't. I think Cosmos operated from this mindset of like, oh, the people, the token holders will be like wanting to know which validator they stake with, and they will pick the right one based on their criteria, whatever that is. But another kind of view of this is more like the user actually just cares about the returns. And yeah, that's the guy in the bottom. Sorry if everyone feels called out here. But in a way, I think the solution to this could be liquid staking, that it like, you know, you can still just have users care about yield, but you have basically the DAO that operates the liquid staking protocol, which is maybe like a different group of stakeholders that have more expertise in staking, or the notables themselves make the choice of the validators, and that might be actually kind of increasing decentralization, increasing censorship resistance, and overall making a more secure and better network. So yeah, that's it. Thanks, everyone.